Hello, welcome to this conversation on finding balance between social media engagement and digital wellness. I am Craig Bideman. I am the Health and Wellness Promotion Specialist at University Health Services, and I really hope you enjoy this presentation that I'm about to give. So, who am I? I'm a guy that works at UMass Boston. That's the long and short of it. Basically, my job is to make sure that folks take care of themselves during college and in life in general. So I try to present on topics that have to do with wellness and health related things. And one of the things that I think some folks don't really think too much about in this realm is digital spaces, including social media. So I try to do this presentation a couple times a year and now on demand so that folks have it available when they feel like they need a nice refresher on how to take care of themselves in online spaces. We're going to go through a few videos as well during this session that I think help illustrate some of the things that I'm trying to get across as well. So why am I leading this? I have a lot of interest in social media. It's something that I have researched, especially during graduate school. It's something that's pretty important to my everyday life in general, and I think that's something that we're pretty much all in the same boat with these days. A lot of folks use social media to connect with friends, to learn about new things. I use it to learn about music. There's a whole lot of world out there that we are exposed to using social media and through our digital, other digital spaces as well. So I like to learn these things and I like to share what I've learned, and I like to help folks get educated on uh, how to learn about them as well. So I want you to think for a second about how and why you use social media. Do you use it for personal reasons, for business reasons, for promotional reasons? Do you use it specifically to interact with friends, family, to meet new friends, to make new connections? Do you use it like I do to try to get new music uh, information? To one of the main reasons I use Instagram is to connect with folks who also collect vinyl records. So that's something that I have a big aspect of my life, big interest in my life is vinyl records. So I use Instagram specifically for that. There's a lot of other spaces that are used for different reasons. Just think about that for a second and consider how and why you use social media, just for 1 second. Right, that was longer than 1 second, but I just wanted you to give you a second to just think about it as well. Now, digital wellness is a relatively new concept. It is the branch of digital citizenship, which is basically being a person online that focuses on using technology safely and appropriately, as well as understanding our limits and recognizing that sometimes we might need a break every now and again when it comes to taking care of ourselves in online spaces. So this is just something that I think is good to have a good basis for us to start when it comes to thinking about where and how we exist online. So I want you to think about the last thing you do before you go to bed. I usually ask this to a big, large group of students, and I like to see some of the consistencies that happen. So just think about it. Are you brushing your teeth? Is that the last thing you do before you go to bed? Do you set an alarm? Do you feed your cats? Are you watching Netflix? Are you on your phone? Are you checking your email? What is the last thing you're doing? The majority of folks tend to say that they're on their phone. That is the last thing that they do before they go to bed. That's pretty consistent. That's pretty common. One of the last things I do is brush my teeth, and then I'm generally in bed. I don't really get onto my phone right before I fall asleep, but I am on my phone leading up to brushing my teeth and then going to bed. But it's good to just think about what we're doing before we get to bed, because that tends to affect our sleep a little bit as well. Now think about the first thing you do when you wake up. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? When you roll out of bed or when your eyes open? Um, Do you reach over for your phone again? Do you put on your watch? Do you get up and go to the bathroom? Do you pet your cat? What are the things that you're doing right when you first wake up? Again, when I do this to a classroom of students, generally the overwhelming uh, response is that people turn over and pick up their phone. And I think that that's another common thing that a lot of folks do. I tend to check my notifications right when I wake up just to see if anything happened over the evening that I was sleeping. And then I eventually just get up and start my day. But think about how you're using your time when you first wake up. What is the first thing you're doing to start your day? Now we're going to watch a quick video about what it's like to forget your phone for a day.
Driving with a box stuck under his car. And like, who knows how long he was driving. I saw him pull out of the parking lot and turn right, and the box was still stuck under his car. So who knows how long he was driving with that box under his car. I like bet he got home, he pulled into his driveway.
Cloud in the sky. I'm not. Wow. You're like, if you, it's not.
I don't think it's real. I don't think it's
Maybe
real.
there's a. I see the lineup for car. Getting wasted. The Empire State Building is like really close to it, so it's a good.
Hey, can I borrow your shoes?
And I do best with what was in my hands.
So, from watching that video, think about some things that you might have reactions toward. When you're watching that video, was the woman actually being a present person in her day because she didn't have her phone? Were the other people being generally a little disconnected? How did that look? Do you relate to some of the things that happened in this video? Have you been that person that didn't have their phone or preferred to be off their phone in certain moments? What does that look like in reality? Because I've definitely seen some of those things come out. I've definitely been the person on my phone in some circumstances, but it also is kind of absurd to some extremes, which is understandable because it's a video that's going to demonstrate those things. But one of the things that stood out to me that does happen, I think, almost all the time is at a concert when people have their phones out. Definitely one of my least favorite things that happens, but it's very common and it's something that I think will likely always exist as long as phones and concerts exist, because that's just how people choose to um, uh, document or share or commemorate the moment of actually being at a concert. One time I was at a show and a woman had her phone out. I think she thought she was recording for like the first, I'm not joking, 5 or 6 songs, but it was not recording. She just had her phone out, not recording. And then I think she realized it and then stopped and gave up, which is kind of a bummer to see. But it's one of those things where just like be present, exist in the world. Like it's okay to put your phone down for a minute. I know that especially for folks living in the quarantine right now, it's a little bit harder to do some to stay away from your phone because there's not a whole lot else to do. But it's definitely something that we need to be thinking about a little bit more. It's also kind of the purpose of this talk as well. Now, have you ever taken a day or an hour or a week to just not check your phone or not check social media sites? I know some folks who have apps that limit their time in certain apps, in certain social media spaces. So I think that that's something that's really helpful and very useful. But if you tried to not do that for a little while, think about that. Um, it's one of those things that is always kind of surprising for folks because there are some people who are really good at just keeping their phone away, staying off social media. It takes a lot of, to me, it takes a lot of restraint and a lot of discipline to do such a thing because I'm not very good at not checking it. But I have gone a full week without checking anything. It was a week that I lived in silence in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. And that was something that was kind of extreme, but also kind of something that like I needed. I needed that break from reality for a little while. Sometimes a break is important. I really do believe that. So if you are able to build some breaks into your day, into your life, make sure that you're doing something like that. It's really good for your brain, really good for your body to just step away for a second. Because we're actually finding out a lot about social media over the last 10 years or so and how it's actually impacting us in a lot of ways we might not realize. And one of those things is our brain and how it's impacting our brain. And I want to watch another video about this. And one of the things that I just want you thinking about is what is something that stands out to you in this video that is kind of alarming or just kind of fascinating, because there's a lot to be learned in just this quick short video.
With social media sites being used by 1/3 of the entire world, they've clearly had a major influence on society. But what about our bodies? Here are 5 crazy ways that social media and the internet are affecting your brain right now. Can't log off? Surprisingly, 5 to 10% of internet users are actually unable to control how much time they spend online. Though it's a psychological addiction as opposed to a substance addiction, brain scans of these people actually show a similar impairment of regions that those with drug dependence have. Specifically, there's a clear degradation of white matter in the regions that control emotional processing, attention, and decision making. Because social media provides immediate rewards with very little effort required, your brain begins to rewire itself, making you desire these stimulations, and you begin to crave more of this neurological excitement after each interaction. Sounds a little like a drug, right? We also see a shift when looking at multitasking. You might think that those who use social media or constantly switch between work and websites are better at multitasking, but studies have found that when comparing heavy media users to others, they perform much worse during task switching tests. Increased multitasking online reduces your brain's ability to filter out interferences and can even make it harder for your brain to commit information to memory. Like when your phone buzzes in the middle of productive work. Or wait, did it even buzz? Phantom vibration syndrome is a relatively new psychological phenomenon where you think you felt your phone go off, but it didn't. In one study, 89% of test subjects said they experienced this at least once every 2 weeks. It would seem that our brains now perceive an itch as an actual vibration from our phone. As crazy as it seems, technology has begun to rewire our nervous system, and our brains are being triggered in a way they never have before in history. Social media also triggers a release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Using MRI scans, scientists found that the reward centers in people's brains are much more active when they're talking about their own views as opposed to listening to others. Not so surprising, we all love talking about ourselves, right? But it turns out that while 30 to 40% of face-to-face conversations involve communicating our own experiences, around 80% of social media communication is self-involved. The same part of your brain related to orgasms, motivation, and love are stimulated by your social media use, and even more so when you know you have an audience. Our body is physiologically rewarding us for talking about ourselves online. But it's not all so self-involved. In fact, studies on relationships have found that partners tend to like each other more if they meet for the first time online rather than with a face-to-face interaction. Whether it's because people are more anonymous or perhaps more clear about their future goals, there's a statistical increase in successful partnerships that started online. So while the internet has changed our verbal communication with increased physical separation, perhaps the ones that matter the most end up even closer. Speaking of social media, we had you ask us questions on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Google+, and every other social platform we could find, and did a Q&A video over on ASAP Thought. So if you feel like getting some insider info on ASAP Science and behind the scenes, check it out with the link in the description. Got a burning question?
What is something that stood out to you? Think about that. One of the things that stands out to me a lot is the phantom vibration, because I definitely feel it or don't feel it fairly consistently. That's something that happens a lot. I even have the Apple Watch now, which also gives me some phantom vibration sensory stuff. So it's definitely something that I think about fairly often. I also think that it's interesting how we're very incapable of task switching, multitasking as a society. And a lot of that is because of how social media and digital spaces have kind of rewired our brains as well. But what stood out to you? Let me know. Maybe in the comments. That'd be cool. So addiction to social media is possible. It's another thing that stands out in the video. It's basically a pretty common thing to recognize when we're thinking about maybe how some of our friends or even how some of ourselves use social media. It's very possible to just be some sort of an addict to the constant buzz, hum, notification, streaming, finger flipping lifestyle that we've kind of developed as a society. So task switching can be very tricky. That's something that we just covered. Notice risky habits in friends and in yourself, because they might appear out of nowhere. It's kind of like just taking care of most general wellness things. If you're recognizing or noticing that you are spending so much time on social media that you don't even keep track of what day it is or what time it is, it's important to make sure you're giving yourself a little bit of a step away, give yourself a break from what you're going through, or maybe just like give yourself a chance to regroup and start doing something that doesn't involve your phone or doesn't involve your computer. Go work on a puzzle, go for a run, go play mini putt. That's one of my favorite things to do. Just do something that's going to get you a little bit outside of just being on your phone. So one of the things that also stands out a lot is imposter syndrome online. This can look a couple ways. This is kind of feeling like you're not as capable or as representative of being worthy enough to exist in some spaces, because you're being consistently compared to the experiences and life experiences of others. So recognizing that some people might be misrepresenting themselves in online spaces to purposely make you feel worse about yourself. So there's an imposter syndrome of not feeling like you belong in a certain space, but then there's the imposter syndrome that other people are putting out there because they're not putting out there an authentic self. So make sure that you're just representing yourself as you are online, and I think you'll be okay. Here's a quick video on what that looks like.
Perfect. Post. I've taken this selfie over 100 times to make sure that I look as hot as possible. Aww, Ned and Ariel got engaged. Like, I hate this post. I wish you would stop posting photos of your happy, perfect life. North Korea's internet crashes. Okay, that's cool and all, but can someone like feed us or something, says North Koreans. Tweet. It took me over an hour to get that joke under 140 characters. Just partying with my bros, send. In reality, I only send you pictures when I'm partying, so I look like tons of fun. Drove to the Chinese bakery for a snack, hashtag food porn, post. I only take photos of ethnic food so you know that I'm more cultured than you. Not to call anyone out, but I don't have time for people who act like they're still in high school. Post. I am definitely calling you out and you f***ing know who you are. At Rihanna, you're my spirit animal. Let's be best friends. Hashtag mom. Tweet. Notice me, senpai, I'm your biggest fan. Lol, ugly face, send. To be honest, I would never Instagram an ugly selfie. On Snapchat, it lasts for like 5 seconds. Slay, queen, you look flawless. Comment. I know you definitely don't run this account and you probably never read this, but I'm gonna comment anyway. Ashley Perez invited you to Ashley's super duper 1989 listening party. That sounds like it could be fun, so I'll say maybe. I'm definitely not going to that shit, because maybe means no. My father is a doctor who survived war-torn Korea. My butt's on the internet. I feel sad now. Tweet. I totally forgot who I was for a second and saw a mirror and thought, oh shit, an Asian man broke into my house. Tweet. Is it racist that the first thought I had when I saw my reflection was I want Chinese food? Tweet. I'm definitely drunk.
So that video demonstrates a lot of things that I think a lot of us have possibly seen our friends share, or maybe we've shared, or just some of the motivations behind what we share and how we post things. So if you're sharing things, just make sure you're sharing it with an authentic approach and making sure that you're doing so in a way that actually makes you feel enriched and actually feels engaging and feels supportive, rather than posting and sharing things that might make you feel a little bit disingenuine, because that can actually add some stress to your life if you're trying to constantly put on a performance that doesn't actually reflect who you are. So taking care of yourself includes online spaces. It's just an important thing to take care of in terms of your wellness. I think that this is something that is just very consistent across the board with a lot of the programming that I do. Be smart with what you put out there. Just be thinking very clearly with what you share. Don't post things when you're in a bad mood. Just be consistent and smart with how you share. Make sure that you're not putting things out there that you don't want the internet to forget, because the internet never forgets. Things can always come back in one way or another. Wait, they're not always bad. Social media is very great. It can do a lot of things. It is great for networking, community outreach, fun, escapism, just to get away from reality. Sometimes it's totally okay. I also do another talk on using social media for professional development. So if you want to watch that video, it's also going to be on this channel as well. So definitely check that out if you'd like to learn some more. Just make sure that you're prioritizing your time and knowing why you want to use social media. Again, that talk on professional development is a good one to segue into why you want to use social media. Give yourself breaks, set some boundaries, and it's okay to shut off. Give yourself some time away. Give yourself a good opportunity to just chill when it comes to trying to use social media all the time. And I think that's all I've got for you. So if you'd like to be in touch with me, here's how you can be in touch. This is where I am. This is where you'll find me. If you're doing this for a MAP program, go to tinyurl.com/mapwellness, and we'll know that you came and that you thought it was good or you thought I was bad, whatever. But yeah, thank you so much for coming and watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.